Okay, welcome guys. Welcome to this talk about the JavaScript framework. This is my yearly report where I explain what my team and other teams did on the JavaScript side of Odoo. And most years we have a lot of things to present, and this is going to be interesting. You'll see. So maybe I should present myself. I'm Jerry. I've worked at Odoo for I don't even know, like 12 years. And I've been working on the JavaScript part of Odoo from the very start. And I was like one of the main authors of the OWL framework as well. So we'll talk about that just in a moment. So, oh yeah, I should have put that slide first. If you want, you should try to scan this QR code. It should link to a collaborative document in which you can write your questions. So don't hesitate to add a bunch of questions, and I'll try to answer them at the end of this talk. And maybe if I have time later, if I don't have time to answer them just then, I'll answer them later if I can. Yeah, I'm sorry, I will change slides, but then I'll come back to this at the end. Right. So first, let's talk about the JavaScript framework at Odoo. The JavaScript framework is not only OWL. Some people believe that it's like the most independent and obvious part of the framework. This is like OWL is like the low-level layer on which the rest of Odoo is built with. It is like a component system, kind of like React or Vue or other mainline standard frameworks, right? But the JavaScript framework in Odoo is more than that. So we have on the left part, you could see that you have like what some people say the backend of Odoo. I don't like that word because backend to me refers to server side, but in this case we're talking about the web client. So the left part is basically the OWL component system, the Odoo web framework, which is like a bunch of code that will deal with standard components, date picker, utility functions, and a bunch of stuff. Views, fields, a lot of code. And then the web client is not really a framework. It's like more the shell that builds the application that you see, and in which every other Odoo add-on will plug itself into. So that's the left part. The right part is the website, the front end in the common sense in the JavaScript world. So we have something very new. I will talk about that just in a moment. So we have like we don't use OWL on the front end. We do use it a little bit, but not for a lot of code. There is a main difference. This is that the website is rendered by the server, right? So the browser gets the HTML, and then we have attached some behavior, some interactions on this existing DOM, existing HTML. Unlike OWL, OWL is a component system. So OWL is, in our case, it's different. We load data from the server, and then we render templates by the browser. And we keep the same page alive all the time. So there is like a big difference, technologically speaking. And that's why we have like two different systems. So I will talk about that just in a moment. But the JavaScript framework is like a complicated piece of code, or a bunch of code. It's maintained by a few teams. And it is like the base for a bunch of applications. You may have a point of sale that is using some parts of the code. So your accounting is using some other parts, and so on. The website, the e-commerce, of course, is using your website a lot, and then some part of web client. So what I mean to say is that the JavaScript framework is like a building block for a lot of code, which makes it quite difficult to change, to evolve. But we do love changing code. In my team, and developers at Odoo, we know that code is not perfect. It has to change. It has to evolve, to adapt to new requirements. But we also need to deliver a product sometimes. So, you know, every time we do a change, some people will be unhappy anyway. And if we don't change code, people will be unhappy anyway. So there is no winning choice anyway. So basically, that's like the difficult part of what we're doing is to balance those concerns, keeping a stable API, which is not stable, but as much stable as we can, of course. We want to add more features all the time, and we want to consolidate existing features into simpler abstractions if we can. We want to simplify. We want to reduce the technical depth of the code. So that's a difficult act to play. And I hope that you understand that there is a need for change. So I'm sorry for those of you who have to maintain code and migrate your own code, but you have but you try to have a nice balance of those changes. Okay, so for the big picture of what we did this year and even the year before that, the website, basically the front-end part of Odoo, has been remade entirely. So this impacts basically the public widget system. So the public widget system was like some remaining of the past before we had OWL, and it was the technology that powered a lot of the code base on the website part, e-commerce and all of that. So we replaced all of them by interaction. That was like a big effort by multiple teams. So if they hear this, good job, guys. You did really a lot of work on that. We also rebuilt the website builder. That's fun. We remade the website builder in OWL. I'll talk about that. So that's on the website. So basically, the website part, the JavaScript part of the website has been done entirely from scratch, almost. Then the web client, from the point of view of the web client, we had many change, not in OWL. This OWL layer, at least that's a good news. This one didn't change much, so that's good if you have OWL application. At least you don't have to change too much on that part. We did a lot of work on offline and caching stuff, so I'll talk about that again. And a lot of many smaller improvements that I cannot even start to hope mentioning everything. So I will just highlight a few changes for this talk. Okay, so let's come back to the website, the front-end code of Odoo. So as I said, the main change was that we replaced the public widget system by a new interaction system. Then we have a new editor and a new website builder. So let's discuss those interactions. Interactions. Well, let me tell you the first why we had a new system and not OWL. We tried to. That was an experiment actually. So one of the first work that we tried, first proof of concept that we did when we worked on the website code, because we had a need. First, the need was that we were still using public widgets, and it was like feeling like we have like two different frameworks, and that's really a bad taste. It leaves a bad taste in mouth when people see code base from website and then from web clients, and those are different ideas, different concepts. It's difficult to move developers from a team to another. It's complicated. It doesn't work like we want to. So it was time for a change. So we tried to use OWL to replace public widgets. We had some proof of concept of that. So in which case, the OWL framework, I modified it to attach, to inhabit some existing HTML. But it was kind of weird. We were not satisfied with the result. It was a little bit like twisting something in an unhealthy way, in a weird way that did not make sense. And there were some constraint with that. So you cannot use those attached components in the same way as the real components for some reasons. So at some point, we decided that maybe going in another direction, a simpler abstraction would be nice. And as a bonus point, it would allow us to, in the future, to have like a very small website page that do not depend on OWL or anything. Just the interaction framework is very small. So we can hope to have like a very snappy and very small page someday if we want to have a simple experience. But interactions are not designed to be a full-blown replacement of a user interface. Those are just simple, lightweight replacement for public widgets to attach it to some part of the website, and then to add some to integrate with the framework. So you can see in this example, this is an example of what an interaction could look like. We have a syntax that is modern. We are using native JavaScript class. This is a design choice. We want to stay close to the metal, for whatever that means in the JavaScript world. We want to stay also close to the way the framework works in all components, and also in yeah, in the way in the syntax that we will use. So you can see that the main key is dynamic content, and this dynamic content key means that basically it's like the equivalent of a template. This is the selection of the set of selectors that we can target, and we can apply some rules on that. We can add event listener, so this replaces the events key from public widgets. We can add dynamic attributes, we can add content, we can add sub-all components if you want to. And all of that works in a streamlined way in which you can access services as well. So you can see for this example, we have a counter, a value. We increment that and we use we can access the notification system by reading it from the service key. So it makes it much simpler to interact with all services that are started in the current framework. So I think it's a nice change in the website ecosystem. And as a bonus point, it interacts very well with the new website builder. So you know that when you edit a page, it's quite tricky because there is like live JavaScript working on the page, and when you switch to edit mode, you want to kill some of the JavaScript, but you want to leave some of it alive. You want to update the JavaScript at some point, and it's difficult. So that was also one of the motivation to work on that mini framework. If you're interested, there is a talk about this in 2 hours or something. I think it's here. I'm not sure, so you have to check. But you can see Robin talks about interactions. Right. So now, those interactions were made also with the website builder in mind. So the website builder is now, again, remade from scratch in all. That was like a big effort for I think, at least 30%. 30 developers worked on this. And it's completely remade. So if you have some customization of the website builder, especially on the options side, it will change. The syntax did change, but the snippet system did not. So if you have your own custom snippets, don't worry, it's still the same. Okay, we didn't change. We only changed the technology behind the website builder, but the existing website snippets should still work. Okay, now there's what I was telling you is basically the culmination of 2 years' work at Odoo across many teams, across many developers, where we modernized our editing infrastructure. 2 years ago, we started working on the HTML editor, which replaced the old web editor. And this new code has been used in different contexts by a bunch of add-ons. So you have the HTML field in which you want collaborative editing. You have knowledge in which you want collaborative editing, and you also want to insert list views, form views, and sub-components. You have mass mailing in which you want to edit like some kind of mass mailing templates. You have the studio report editor in which you edit some kind of templates as well. You have the website builder in which you want to add blocks. You have a lot of requirements, different requirements, and I think we managed to solve this. It took us 2 years with the new architecture for the HTML editor, which is designed on plugins, and you can choose and pick whatever you need for your editing requirements. So I'm very proud of this. A lot of people worked on it, and it's amazing that we managed to do it in 2 years. Okay, now another long-term project that Fabien mentioned at his keynote. And this one, I think he kind of oversold it. I think that when he removed unplugged his server, he kind of gave the impression that if you're in offline mode, you can validate your invoice, or you can work with Odoo completely. If that's true, I think the next step is to remove the Python code. I would be very happy with that, but I'm not sure that's true. So the reality is that this offline mode is, for now, basically the result of a lot of work on caching. We simply cache a lot of information that we can. We did a lot of design work, a lot of research work to do it safely, securely, to make sure that we have to do it transparently. So basically, the code that you write will not be impacted that much, or almost none, and it could still work in offline mode for some use case. So this is like the first year where we added this feature, this mode. This is basically the idea is that we want to use the browser storage and to do optimistic rendering. Let me show you. Oh, yeah, there is a talk about this also in 1 hour or in 2 hours. So yeah, you can look at this talk as well for more details. But basically, we added a few primitives, a few not primitive, a few more possibilities to existing function. The RPC and the ORM functions have now the possibility to define a cache. You can see there is this dot cache here and here as well. And you can parameterize if you want a cache on a disk or just in RAM, in memory. Or you can also have like an update mode. So when you get value from the cache, you will be notified. The RPC will be done anyway, but you will be notified if there is new data on the server. And this allows what Fabien showed you this morning, optimistic rendering in faster user interface. Because of that, we can render immediately some part of the screen or everything if it's there. And then we still do the RPC, so we will collect the information anyway, and we update the UI if the data was changed in the meantime, right? But if it has not been changed, it was still there at first. Okay? So this is a pretty powerful primitive, and we are working on improving all the code base to use this kind of ideas to make sure that Odoo works quite well in offline mode, or at least in many situations. And even if you cannot edit values yet, it's going to come maybe later. It's still useful because it makes the UI very fast. Right. Now I have just 5 more minutes. I will just show you a few random changes that I quite like on the framework. Oh, this one is not a change. This one is basically saying that the owl layer did not change much. In 1 year, we have almost no commits, like less than 20. We still added a few features, but a few small features. We have now added specific translation in Odoo. So that's quite big for users, I guess. We had support for custom directives and global values for templating. So this is like more powerful building blocks for frameworks level code. So I don't think you should use that yourself, but it's still good to know that it's there. Now, that one is a small thing. Now, if you middle click or if you control click in many places in the user interface, it works. Before, like until version 18, you could not open the tasks from the project view in another tab. Now it works. So that's a small change, but it's very, yeah, I see. That one I like it as well. So, and there is a new parameter, new window. So you can programmatically decide that you want to open this action in another browser tab. What else? Oh, yeah, that says it's not it's not entirely true. It's still rendered in Odoo, but basically, since we rewrote all of the website's code base, we rewrote it using our own framework building blocks with framework parts, and we don't use jQuery anymore. So basically, you should, if you have some dependency on jQuery, it's fine, but at some point, either you choose to keep using it and to add it to the assets yourself, or you'll need to adapt your code maybe. What else? Small change. The UI is now more adapted to mobile UI. So by default, all popovers will open as a bottom sheet. You see this small part in mobile mode. So it is done transparently. So most code did not have to change. And just we have like a switch in the code where we open a popover, and if it's in mobile mode, it will put it in a bottom sheet instead of a popover. So it makes the user interface much better in mobile mode. But there is an opt-out mechanism. I don't remember what it is, but you can opt out of this if it makes sense for your use case. What else? Oh. That one is nice. It comes from the framework Python team. They have like a dynamic date DSL. I hope that Raphael told you about that this morning. But just in case you know that it exists, and you can describe a dynamic date, like today, or the previous 5 months, or the previous Monday, all of that. You can describe that and use them in the model, and it works in the user interface. So that's much cleaner than using those, I don't even remember, context today operation where you have to write complicated expression in Python, in JavaScript to make it work. So now you have like this mini date DSL, and this is quite nice. I'm not. Yeah, and then last point, Fabien showed you that you have a /doc endpoint, which is useful if you want to browse all public methods from every model. I think it would make it easier for integration, so you can research what is available and work with that. Okay, I don't have much time, but that's good. I'm almost at the end. So the question is, what's next? The answer to that is not sure yet. Not because we lack ideas. We have a lot of ideas. We don't know which one do we start with, and we also need to still balance those needs to add features to Odoo, to maintain the technical depth low enough, and we want to make sure that it works like that. So we have a lot of ideas. If you have more ideas, you can add them, ask me, or put them in the pad. Maybe we'll consider that. So I think I'm at the end of this. Thank you for your attention. So now, thank you. So in 7 minutes or so, we'll do another talk. It will be a tutorial on the basics of the web framework. So this is more like for beginners. But in the meantime, I will answer questions. Oh, yeah, I hope you scanned the QR code. You can ask questions on this document, and we'll try to answer them.
So will the e-commerce website functionality be written as whole app in some future version with client-side rendering? Or will the new interaction API plus server-side rendering be permanent for e-commerce?
That's a very interesting question. I cannot tell you for sure, but I can say that we discussed a lot with the e-commerce, the website sales team for that, and they have like part of the code is in OWL and other part is in interactions, and they don't exactly know sometimes what we don't know what's the best. So there's a trade-off to do. I expect that you'll have both. Like you'll keep having interactions. Now, I think it's for the future, but more and more complicated part of the user interface will be small OWL component as well.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, dynamic date DSL is something that is already working as per my knowledge. What have you improved in this case?
I'm not sure, but it's working now in the recent version, but it was not working in version 18. It was like a pull request that was merged I don't know the date. So in our case, what my team did was make the integration in the domain editor. So it works. It does not crash. It doesn't say. It should not say invalid date. So that's what my team did. But most of the work was been done by the framework Python team, where they accept those expressions. But, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Starting in V18, there seems to be some replication of React features. Why did you decide to maintain all versus fully committing to React or Angular?
So that's a good question I get a lot, but in my opinion, it's not starting in version 18. It's even before that. It's big. OWL is now 5 years old. And I can tell you why we chose OWL instead of going with React or Angular. My personal choice was to go with React, if you want to know, back then. I even told Anthony, our CTO, that doing our own framework was a mistake. But we discussed a lot, and we chose to keep doing OWL for, I would say, 2 main reasons. One of them was that we wanted to use XML documents. I know that XML is kind of old-fashioned, but it's very powerful, and this is really the heart of the way, of the strength of the Odoo framework in general. So we want to give the possibility to everyone to work with XML documents, XML templates, and React or other frameworks could not do that easily. Or we would have to have like some kind of translation layer from XML document to a real JS6 or React component. That would be frustrating. So that's one of the reasons. Another one is that we wanted a class-based design, and all major frameworks, they move toward closure and functions components. And that's annoying if you want to allow us, but more importantly, you want to allow partners to hook themselves anywhere inside your components. If you have a function, you cannot do it. It's locked into the closure. If you have a class component, at least they can patch and override some functions of that, and they can customize Odoo better. So that was one of the main reasons.
Thank you. Another one is the written documentation for JavaScript testing is still about QUnit and not Hoot. Will it be updated?
Yeah. You should, if you can, that would be a good idea. You should bother Anthony, our CTO, and tell him that. That's really a priority, a choice of priority. So Anthony prioritize more the features, doesn't care as much as he should the documentation and other aspects. So you can ask him that we put more effort into the documentation. But so for now, it's just we do it on a best effort basis. So sometimes it's done, sometimes it's not. We should do more. I agree.
Okay. Is it possible to integrate OWL component with website forms, ideal through the form builder?
Yes, it is. So now website forms are made with interactions. That one is complicated, yeah, that's true, but it's in interactions. And there is like a full and complete support for all components inside interactions. So you can have your an interaction that will just coordinate, and then you can decide that this part of your HTML or this one should contain another OWL component. So you could do it, but you need to. It depends exactly what you do. Coding is what it is. It depends on which use case you're trying to solve. We have just one more question, and then after we have to get ready for the next talk.
Okay. Will it be possible to patch interaction too, just like components in OWL?
Yes, that's a good point. That's true. So interactions are classes, and I don't know. Let me see if I have an example here. Yeah, and you see. Yeah, thank you. You see, you have this setup function. We just like components, all components, in which we have like a setup function. This is specifically done so components can be patched at runtime by anyone. We did the same for interaction. So we created this setup function. We could have done without this function and using a normal constructor, but constructors cannot be patched. So that's why we have like this special constructor that we use, so it can be patched. So really, the goal is to make it easy for everyone to customize that way.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.